So yesterday, while everyone was excited about gold and silver's price action, another bank went under, and I bet you hear nothing about it until right now. First National Bank of Lindsay, Oklahoma just collapsed, and the Office of the Comptroller of Currency wasted no time shutting it down. Why? Because of no surprise, fraud. Basically, deceptive records and capital depletion made it too risky to keep it open. First Bank and Trust Company swooped in to handle insured deposits, so don't panic. Unless you're one of the uninsured depositors holding $7.1 million over the FDIC limit. Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a minute to share with you some developing news that happened yesterday during all the euphoria dealing with the metals activity that apparently had a lot of people captivated on the decade-high activity in silver. But then again, based upon all the problems in the banking sector, like I've mentioned in several videos before, we're nowhere clear from some type of systemic banking event that could be drawing closer as the days move forward. But anyway, I want to take and share with you some headlines and just highlight a scenario so that you'll know what's going on, which will also be more fuel for the fire as to why you should continue to get your weight up as always recommended. So if you guys want to see more of these little news, debriefings, and updates, then definitely hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification so you'll be informed when stories come across my desk and I try to deliver it to you in a very quick format. But let's jump right in. So here we have an article entitled Oklahoma Bank Fails Amid Claims of False and Deceptive Bank Records. And this came out as of last evening at 8:26 p.m. As always, whenever there's banking events, it usually goes down at the very end of the week, heading into a weekend, so it doesn't cause any panic. So it's good to say this event here was brewing well throughout the week, and they decided to take action on a Friday after working hours when everyone left for the day to go home and enjoy their weekend. We had a banking event. But let's dive in. It says First National Bank of Lindsay, Oklahoma was shattered by the Office of Comptrollers and taken over by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation on Friday. It says First Bank of Trust in Duncan, Oklahoma assumed the First National Banks of Lindsay's insured deposits. It says the only office of the First National Bank of Lindsay will resume normal business hours as a branch of First Bank and Trust on Monday morning. And according to the bank branch here, when you type in First National Bank of Lindsay, this is the information that is provided. It says here, member FDIC number 4134 and locations, one branch in Oklahoma. The headquarters is 100 South Main Street, Lindsay, Oklahoma. But then when you go to the website here, this is what comes up on the screen. FDIC warning. Could you imagine? Small bank, small town, trying to log into your branch online, and you get this when you go to your website. It says here, on Friday, October 18th, the First National Bank of Lindsay was closed by the Office of Comptroller of Currency. Subsequently, the FDIC was named the receiver. No advance notice is given to the public when a financial institution is closed. All insured deposit accounts have been transferred to the First Bank and Trust of Duncan, Oklahoma. FDIC has assembled useful information regarding your relationship with First National Bank of Lindsay. Besides a checking account, you may have a certificate of deposit, a business checking account, a social security, direct deposit, or other relationships with the institution. In other words, telling people to stay alert, you'll be getting more information from a different bank in Duncan, Oklahoma. So it goes on to say, the OCC closed the bank, quote, after identifying false and deceptive bank records and other information suggesting that fraud that revealed depletion of banks' capital, the agency said in a press release. So a depletion of capital, the first thing that comes to my mind is commercial real estate lending, or some shenanigans being worked around the books that obviously became too big to hide. Then he goes on to say, the OCC also found that the bank was in an unsafe or unsound condition to transact business and that the bank's assets were less than its obligations to its creditors and others. Oh, really? This isn't the only bank where their assets are less than their obligations to the depositors. Every bank is the same way. So the OCC is also referring the issue to the U.S. Department of Justice, which, quote, has a wide variety of tools to hold individuals accountable for criminal acts and focuses on victims in all of its matters. Once again, being turned over to the U.S. Department of Justice for criminal acts. But then again, TD Bank gets caught for laundering drug cartel money and they get hit with a $3 billion fine and no goes to jail. So it goes to show it's only the banks that are not considered systemically important that end up getting punished for criminal behavior. Then he goes on to say the FDIC will make 50% of uninsured funds available to depositors on Monday, the FDIC said. That amount could increase as the FDIC remaining assets of the bank. So here you have a bank that's shuttered, and no doubt going into this weekend, depositors are a little bit concerned given the fact that they're hearing about suspect activity on the books. And then you have the FDIC stepping in to make 50% of uninsured funds available. So literally, if people all decided to go down there and withdraw all their funds, they could do it because the FDIC is only stepping in with half of what they think is theirs. That's a problem. Then he goes on to say the failure is causing an unusually large estimated hit to the FDIC's deposit insurance fund, which is that pot of money that banks pay into to resolve failed banks. Once again, the FDIC, which is supposed to be the insurer of all these banks, they're having financial problems because there's not enough funds in there. Just more warning signs to pay attention to. It says the agency projects that the failure will cost insurance fund $43 million, although that estimate could change over time as assets are sold. So clearly here's a warning. The insurance fund that they have set aside funds to help back up these banks that go under, they're concerned that there may not be enough funds, and just the very fact that there's concerns of the insurance company to the banks having issues insuring the banks is more of a reason why when a systemic event happens, there's no way of making people whole. Just something worth being aware of. And then here's where it gets interesting. It says the First National Bank of Lindsay previously reported assets of $107.8 million. says deposits totaled 97.5, and around 7.1 of those deposits exceeded the FDIC insurance limits. Literally, from what they actually had to what they stated was two different numbers. And that gap of 7.1 million is probably what triggered the idea that there's fraudulent activity on their books, which led them to sweep in, shut this bank down. It says that amount could change as the agency receives additional information from those customers. First Bank and Trust has assumed the failed banks insured deposits for a 6.67 premium and will buy about 20 million of assets. And then last year it says the potential hit to the deposit insurance fund comes at a sensitive time for the FDIC. Because to me, that says it all. We have a small bank in a small town goes under, another small bank comes in and buys up their assets for a 6.6 premium due to the manipulation on the books. And I know for a fact that going into this weekend, a lot of people are consciously concerned with the idea that their bank just went under based upon some fraudulent numbers on the books. And therefore, come Monday, there's going to be a lot of people concerned. They may want to go down and withdraw some funds, but then again, F is only insuring half of that. So once again, this web of debt and currency destruction that the banks are a part of right now, whether it's a small bank or a globally systemic important bank, it's all the same system. And as we just saw, FDIC doesn't have enough funds to cover fully without concern a small bank. Then what does that say about a dozen or 100 or 1,000 banks? They might experience some issues in the next couple of months or a year. Once again, just bringing this to you so that you'll be aware of what's happening in the news, and in particular head into the weekend. And this is not to do anything with the whole silver gold activity, which of course we know is true money, sound money, and the best money to be in to minimize your risk to systemic events like what might be unfolding right now. But anyway, want to take a minute, share some thoughts, keep you up to date with what's going on. If you found value here, hit that thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification. And if you want to be a blessing to the channel, take this, share so other people can find out the risk that are at stake in the banking system at this current moment in the midst of a monetary reset. And as always, can't just talk about the problems without presenting some strategies as well. If you haven't, head over to mysilverteam.com and consider joining the Silver Team, where you get a chance to save in real sound money to protect yourself against currency manipulation, government indebtedness, what looks like an underinsured company, and the overall monetary reset by allocating silver on an auto ship basis that allows you to save, share, and earn, which to me is the perfect business model. And then lastly, don't forget to get the most affordable gold on the market right now with these 24-karat gold notes with the denominations all the way from a single unit all the way up to a 50 unit that allows you to add to your stack and diversify along with your silver holdings. And you can find out more about that by going to buygoldnotes.com and taking advantage of what might be considered extremely low gold prices. But other than that, curious to hear your thoughts. If you found value, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, drop a comment, and share your thoughts. Let's get some dialogue going back and forth, and I'll catch you guys later.